is no longer a concern. I'm explaining why, and I stick by that.
So, njengoba ukhuluma into ongayazi, onje you speak English. So since you've established that what you spoke about you didn't know and you didn't understand,
Point of
does
order,
that?
Chair. Please.
No, I withdraw.
Can
Chair.
you withdraw that?
Yeah, withdraw.
Thank you.
But it means the same thing in English. Since you spoke of something that you didn't know, in Zulu it's something ongayazi, would you take this opportunity maybe to apologize to General Mkhwanazi or clarify the matter in the public? Because it seemed as if you were saying is wearing the uniform that is illegal in the subs, or it's not allowed. It is wearing the uniform that is illegal in the subs, or it's not allowed. It gave that perception. Would you maybe take this opportunity to clarify that? Now, when something something that you don't know, it's the same thing. It's English and Zulu. He spoke of something that he didn't know. He said so. What is wrong with that? It's parliamentary. What is wrong with that? Why are you defending the minister? It made people think that General Mkhwanazi wearing a regalia, a military uniform is wrong. So that must be fixed. What is wrong with that?
Yeah, Honorable Shongwe, you may be justified, but please address the chairperson. Yes. Thank you.
So because of this statement, I don't know whether the minister got the question.
Minister, you may respond.
Thank you, Chair. So, you know, I don't ever pretend that I know everything. When I don't know something, it's no skin of my face to acknowledge that, because that's the way one learns. I'm not a repository of the truth. I don't have a monopoly of wisdom or expertise. So it's no problem for me to say I didn't know. Now, I never said that he was not entitled to wear that uniform. I never said so. I never said it was illegal. So I can't be requested to answer to answer a question that doesn't arise. I understand that why this matter is receiving the attention that it is. I noticed that much of the issues of content and substance in my statement are not the subject of this conversation, or the matters that are within the terms of reference of the inquiry committee. But I will say it again. I'm not. There's no need for me to apologize. About something that was not intended badly, that was no insult, and so I don't apologize with the public in an open way. That's, you know, what it means to have a public discourse. And if my comments have occasioned a public discourse, that's a good thing. General Mkhwanazi has not demanded an apology from me. If he wants to, if he believes that he needs an apology from me, I don't know if he needs you to act on his behalf. If he wants an apology, he knows how to engage with me. So that will be an entirely different context. The question doesn't even arise, respectfully, in my view, because there was no insult.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. May we proceed to the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister. Minister, I have about 5 or 6 questions. The first specifically being around restoring credibility to South African police service, especially with all the noise that we're seeing at the moment. If we look over the past few years, I jotted down a few names. You look at General Ngubeni, Bakhlani, Ngwenya, and then obviously recently too. Just shortly, how do you intend to restore credibility and accountability in the senior command structure? And then part two of the question, how will you ensure that merit and integrity, and specifically not political favor or loyalty, determine any further senior appointments and promotions?
Chairperson, thank you, Mr. Cameron, for the question.
Sorry, Minister, I must just say, you must make sure to not call me chair, because yesterday the chair got very upset when I was called chair as well. No, I know, I'm just teasing. I'm just joking.
No, I mean chair number one. But you also chair an important committee. So today I do not want to present myself as having a blueprint and as having all the answers. I'm going to follow a process of engagement, of consultation, of inquiry to build the capacity, the support in the institution for change. Now, the issue of integrity management, there is a level of corruption in the South African police service, apparently at all levels. I think officers at station level are under a lot of pressure when they are newly recruited and they go to a police station and there's already a command structure there that makes it impossible for a new recruit to function in a professional way. And clearly we've had corruption related to procurement. If General Mkhwanazi is right, then police officers, politicians, senior police officers, if he's right, have been involved in procurement fraud. So I think SAPS needs an integrity management system. We need some advice on that. Lifestyle audits. We have to look at procurement reform. I think the way SAPS handles discipline within the organization needs to be looked at. Procurement, I learned in your committee that and looking at the Auditor General's reports, that the bid committees, as you know now, employ people who are not trained to do it. That really shocked me. So, you know, I think it's very clear the target areas: crime intelligence, the DPCI, detectives, supply chain, recruitment, training. So the whole way in which resources are managed. I think that what we now have in SAPS is a very large organization with mass recruits. It's a mass organization. Now we've got to ensure that we are recruiting people who have the skills and capabilities in critical areas to enable SAPS to carry out all its responsibilities. It might well be that at station level, you know, we need statement taking, but the skills that are required, they are not the same as you need in the DPCI or in crime intelligence or in detective services. So merit appointments, I think that what we've learned over the last 30 years, the country now needs to learn where we went wrong, where we made mistakes, and also what we did right. So I think that in the police service, if it's going to be a professional body, then recruitment decisions, appointment decisions have to be based on merit. How we achieve that is not a question that I have an answer to yet. But I think that is clearly has to be part of the reset agenda.
Thank you, Minister. The next question is not it may come across as a trick question to put you into a corner, but it's not intended that way. The question is, would you agree to something like a promotion and appointment audit from the past 15 years? And the reason I ask the question as background, if you listen to almost all the testimonies that we've heard so far, the majority of the names that come up, almost all of them are usually the same. We've heard the name of Richard Mkhwanazi a few times, General Khan, General Moodley. There are a few specific names that keep on popping up. I think the latest one earlier this week was Lieutenant General Mboto in the DPCI. Those are all names that have been flagged significantly by oversight structures. In fact, Mboto being one of the latter ones from the police committee specifically. But despite being flagged by Parliament and by IPID, promotions went ahead. Can you... I'm not aware of such a process having been run in any department before, but would you agree to something like that we can see, because it feels to me that we can have all the strategy in the world, but if we don't make sure the right people enforce that strategy, I can't see us making progress.
Thank you for the question. So I think the larger question here is about how you achieve change in a large organization that is ailing in certain respects. Do you look backwards, or do you incentivize a progressive project? That's my inclination. I'm not so sure that I want to, like Lord, look back and create an environment that is unstable, perhaps, where an accusatory environment where everybody is in question and where everybody feels that their integrity, their position is in question. So what I would ask you to consider is the question, how do we move forward from this point in SAPS? I mean, I think that's a question for the country as well. We appear to be kind of stuck because we're trying to get accountability for what's happened in the past, but we're also trying to fashion a new future. And I think that the question for me, the main question, the only question is, what's the reset agenda? What does it look like, and how to execute on that agenda? And I think some of the allies of that project, some of the people who might support that project may not be on the right side now. But I think they should be afforded an opportunity to embrace change, because I think most people afforded the opportunity will do so. So I suppose it's a long-winded way of saying that this is not where my headspace is at the moment, to audit what's happened over the last 10 years. I want to give everyone an opportunity to take part in a project to reset South African Police Service on a positive path.
Thank you, Minister. It's a difficult. I think it might warrant a longer discussion or a deeper discussion. I mentioned the latter, the Lieutenant General in the Hawks. It's someone that is known to have spent significant time with Nafiz Modak and co. And interfered in very serious arrests. Now, in my view, and I think you'd agree, someone like that to reset must be removed from the system. Richard Mkhwanazi's sons that are still operating in crime intelligence, they need to be sacked. It's literally that simple. So But I also agree with you. I think I agree with you partly in the sense that we don't want it. Everyone mustn't be suspicious of each other the whole time. We need to somehow restore that trust. But I think there'll need to be some kind of a balance about who is left and who is removed. I want to understand from your point of view, and this relates to the Medicare 24 contract, ask the same question to the deputy ministers. Who do we hold accountable for this whole Medicare 24 procurement issue? How do you approach it from the ministry's point of view? I mean, if you look at the Auditor General report, it's about 3.5 billion rands worth of irregular expenditure over a few years, and this past financial year, it's 650 million, of which that is, I think Honourable James asked the question, as we said yesterday, who do you hold accountable?
So, Chair, with your permission, the Auditor General's report is an objective report. I think that the main challenge now is to put in place a post-audit action plan that should include looking at that contract. And where matters have been raised by the Auditor General, I think there is a duty to implement appropriate action.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, my last two questions. The first one, I've got 4 minutes left. What single measurable commitment can you make to this committee today to demonstrate, not to demonstrate, but measurable commitment can you make to the committee that we're going to see some kind of a change? You've been thrown in at the deep end, so respect for taking up the job. What would that commitment be?
Well, I don't know if it's measurable. You know, in some ways, I think my entire life has led to this point. And I have a duty to tackle the challenge that the President has placed before me and, you know, the country, this committee. Now, so I think I can say that I am fully committed to addressing the issues of safety and security in the country. I think that the South African Police Service, for me, it is an achievement that we've built this national organization over the last 30 years. It now needs, it needs to be refashioned to address to learn from the lessons that we should be drawing from the mistakes we've made, and to rebuild, to build a police service that honors this country, that functions under a constitution, that keeps our people safe, that creates an environment for growth and for individual flourishing. That's the vision before us. The only question is, what is the roadmap? And I don't have that roadmap yet. I have some ideas. I have some clarity about what I think the key issues are. And I'm going to be putting in place a process to get to that point. I think there needs to be, I need to bring in the expertise that I need in civil society, from academia, to look at these questions of organizational design and structure, resourcing, to look at policing strategy and policy, to bring in, impactful, commentators, intellectuals who are close to communities, who understand our society, who have views about that will help us think about what kind of police service we want to build, now to 2040. That I think is a reasonable time span. We should try and have clear targets for what can be achieved in year one, and then I think by the end of this term of the current administration, and then going into, say, 2040, what do we need to do now? What's our strategic vision and plan? We don't have one that the minister is leading. I mean, there are various documents that have been that have been prepared and so forth. But I want to start such a process to get to a point in a few months' time when there is a strategic plan which addresses the challenges that SAPS faces. And I think that's going to be my challenge, to map out a vision and a plan to get there for SAPS over the next, say, 15 years to 2 decades.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Breitenbach, is it you next?
Thank you, Chair. Minister, I've known you for a long time, let me put that on record, and I have always held you in high regard, which I continue to do. I would like to discuss with you, first of all, your views on the STIR's requirements for an independent investigative body to deal with corruption and organized crime. And if I understood you correctly, your view was that IDAC is sufficiently independent. Did I misunderstand you?
There have been steps to improve IDAC's independence. I'm not sure that it's fully compliant with the STIR's requirements, which I consider to be mandatory because in one respect we do agree on the outcomes of the Glenister judgment. So I don't think that it was prescriptive. The judgment was prescriptive on what kind of institution has to be established, but it was prescriptive on what is required by the Constitution. And what's required by the Constitution is compliance with the STIR's mandates.
So we absolutely agree on that point.
Yes.
And the independence that it refers to, in my view, is that it should be independent of control by the executive.
Yes.
And impartiality is a different issue. So it should be both, but it can never be truly independent while it's housed within the National Prosecuting Authority. Do you agree?
Not quite. You see, so I am where I think I didn't agree with your certain elements of your proposal is that I think that the power to prosecute and investigate, which is a policing power, must be subject in a democracy to political accountability. You can't have prosecutors in a democracy who are not accountable in some way to an elected government.
We agree.
So accountability is not the same as independence. Now, I think that if you house, IDAC is properly housed in the Department of Justice. But the Department of, the NP, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, in our view of the Council, has to be independent of the Department of the accounting of the DG. And so that means that it has control over its budget, its appointment, how the DPP is appointed needs attention. The President did introduce a new process, which I think is a positive development.
It is.
And if the IDAC is housed there, then I don't think that that the fact that overall it's in the Department of Justice is problematic, because I'm not aware of any democracy where such agencies are completely independent of the elected branches of government. And I think that that would be a dangerous precedent, because you then have a situation where you have a privately funded body that has the public power to prosecute, that is, to send people to jail. That's an awesome power. Democracies have ways of ensuring that, or ensuring accountability, but I don't. But the system has shown a certain fragility over time. Now we've got to draw some lessons, strengthen those institutions by complying with the constitutional mandates which are clearly established now, both in our domestic law and internationally.
So, you see, the difficulty I have with the approach that you're taking is that, the institution that we envisage is not privately funded. It's funded by Treasury, just negotiated directly without the interference of the Department of Justice. And B, it's accountable to Parliament, like any other Chapter 9 institution. So all the Chapter 9 institutions come to the Justice Portfolio Committee, they're held accountable. So there's no issue with accountability. Accountability is a prerequisite, of course. But while it's housed within the National Prosecuting Authority, and you will recall that you referred yourself to the DSO, the Scorpions, and you agreed that that was a good model and an effective model. But as soon as it became uncomfortable for politicians, they disbanded them, because all they need is a 50% plus one in Parliament. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. So it gives you no security of tenure. Muscle memory of people involved in the criminal justice system will never forget that. People who were doing a good job were punished for doing their job, they were fired, they were closed down. There's nothing preventing that happening to IDAC. And while that is the case, nobody really worthwhile will go and work there, because they know they have no security of tenure. When they do their job, and they do it properly, and they go after the people who are connected, they'll get closed down. And that is our issue. And so it does not meet, in my view, the requirement for independence.
Chair, look, there are versions of your proposal which did suggest that it could be privately funded or draw substantial in private funds. So we agree that would be a very dangerous model. Now, your second argument is that parliamentary oversight is sufficient. I don't agree. I think that, the Parliament is a large body made up of many members, different parties. It's often very contentious. I think that the issue is here that there has to be accountability to an elected government, whether it's a majority government or a GNU type government. There has to be. The issue, though, that you raise, how then do you ensure insulation from improper political interference? Because like you, I think we have to learn from the DSO experience. Kenya had the same experience. They set up an anti-corruption body. It was dismantled when it went after senior politicians, and now they've got a new anti-corruption agency, which, by the way, is modeled in a way that learns from our constitution. They use that as a model. So I think that the solution to the potential problem of political interference is not to create an institution which is entirely independent of the executive branch. Now, and there is no foolproof example. Let me take what's happening in the United States. You've now got, they've got a constitution which is 200 years old. They have embedded institutions, and now you've got a president who says, I can interfere with I can decide who's prosecuted, not prosecuted, because my political opponents were doing it. So countries, I don't think there's a foolproof solution. We have Chapter 9 institutions. What's been our experience with the public protector? It is insular, it is constitutionally protected. But now we have a public protector who's doing a good job. We had a public protector at one stage who was doing an excellent job. And then we had an interim period where we had a problem. So there's no foolproof, there's no
Chair,
foolproof.
is there relevance
mechanism.
in this? Point of order, Chair.
May we please not drown the minister and allow him to respond to the benefit of Honorable Breitenbach.
So, I think that you raise a legitimate
Point of order,
question.
Chair. I just want to know the relevance of this one, where a public protector is doing good and not doing good. What is that, Chair?
The Honorable Breitenbach has said she has not heard anything, so it is only fair that we allow her that opportunity to get the response, and then we can take the point of order.
So my response to the member Breitenbach's question is that constitutional methods for insulating bodies from political interference. There's no blueprint. A lot depends on the incumbents, on the people who are appointed to serve in these positions. So our experience with the Chapter 9 institutions, which are set in place
It's unacceptable. I mean, it's him who invited that. He said there was a public protector, then there was this, there was that. Now he is making a follow-up question. He's asking him, why are they interfering?
Let me.
No, it's wrong. Protect other honorable members.
No,
Because now he says that Honorable Cameroon, the statement which he uttered here is unacceptable.
No.
Because if we do that, this house will degenerate. Please.
Let me come in. Let me come in, honorable members. You know, I have warned you earlier on during the proceedings that if you act in common purpose, you don't become a victim. It doesn't happen. There is no way you can become a victim when you act in common purpose. When there is a foul, the referee blows the whistle, you retaliate, you are sent out of the pitch. You are given a straight red for retaliation. Yes, that's what happens. Once the whistle is blown, you don't retaliate. So because if you retaliate, you act in common purpose, you are no longer a victim. You see, if you want me to order you to come here, and then you want to be Big John Tate and Kherikotsi here, we can afford that opportunity. We have an obligation, you know. The reason why they call us honorable members, it's not just a cheap tag that you can get at a flea market. They call you honorable members because they place a heavy obligation on you to be exemplary in terms of the manner in which you conduct yourselves as leaders. And we have to accord this house the decorum that it deserves. But even yourselves as individual citizens of this country, let me remind you that each one of you has a right to a good name. When you walk on the streets of South Africa, the people of South Africa must look at you with admiration. Some people must even wish to be like you. But if we conduct ourselves in a manner that we disappoint people who know us, that we disappoint people in our surroundings, I can tell you, we are not doing justice to our names. We are not doing any justice to our families. We don't do any justice to people who talk about us every day. Please, honorable members, before you open your mouth to speak, think about your right to a good name. Please, do not soil your reputation. Honorable Nhlanhla.
Chair, so that we don't set a good precedent in this House, Chair. Honorable Cameroon has referred to us as toy soldiers. So may he withdraw that. If it's unparliamentary, unless it is parliamentary, Chair.
Look, what I'm not going to do is to pinpoint each one of you to withdraw. I want you to silently withdraw everything wrong that you said.
No, but Chair, we have not used any unparliamentary term. And if we have done so, it's members who must say, Nomvalo has said this and he must withdraw. We can't generalize it, Chair. He referred to us as toy soldiers, and as far as I know, they are honorable members here. They are not toy soldiers. So, unless it's going to be permissible for us to give each other nicknames, because I've got a very good nickname for him, which I can use if he refuses to call us. I mean, if he refuses to withdraw, calling us toy soldiers.
But why do we have to inject fear in each other if we are honorable members?
No, it's not fear, Chair.
Honorable
It's a matter of
Cameron,
principle.
did you use the phrase toy soldiers?
Chair, I absolutely did use it after Honorable Skosana said he would deal with us. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
What did Honorable Skosana say? What did he say?
There were two specific comments, Chair. The first one was that they would deal with us. And then apologies for the language, but one of the members pointed at me and Honorable Breitenbach and said they would donor us. So yeah. So I will gladly withdraw.
Okay. That is, thank you so much for the nobility of thought. The honorable member who has said, I will donor you, is the honorable member prepared to withdraw?
Chair, I only said I will donor you, I'll fast trap you.
I be a man. Withdraw.
That's only what I said.
Yes,
After you said what he
I
said.
want to check if you are
I was
prepared.
just telling him, like more a boy, a donor, like fast trap a boy. That's what I wanted to make sure that he
I
gets
want
that
to-
one.
I
So
want
if
to check-
he apologizes, then I'll apologize for that, Chair. Apologizing. Angidlali nomfana. Ngiyaxolisa sihlalo.
Look, I want you to listen to this, honorable members. You know, if you say something wrong to me, to the extent of me being humiliated or my integrity being impugned upon, and I say something back, I talk back to you. If I'm requested to apologize, I'm going to apologize unconditionally. Whether the person who said something bad about me apologizes or withdraws the statement, to me it does not matter. What matters to me is that I would have acknowledged the wrong on my part that I would have made, and I will apologize for that wrong. If the next person does not see befitting to them to do so, there is no way I'm going to force that person for them to apologize for that. Human beings who are very different, the values to which we subscribe are different, and the people who hold us in high regard are also different. Others may not see anything wrong in the manner in which we behave, whereas others will do so. So each one of you, you know the people you represent, the kind of the people they are. If they approve of your conduct, so be it. And if the people who follow you do not approve of your conduct, you must always find it desirable to stand up and say, the manner in which I conducted myself is not in keeping with the standards or the expectations of people of South Africa, and for that I want to apologize. It's not something that that must derail us. It can't derail us the way it does if we really want to live up to the expectation of being honorable members. I was going to allocate your time to speak, Honorable Mathes. Do you still want to speak? Listen, listen to what I'm saying to you. I'm going to give you time to make a follow-up question. And when you are done with your follow-up question, I'm going to allocate you your right to speak. Listen, now you ask the follow-up question. Honorable Cameron, just before you leave, you are not leaving because you are running away. You are leaving because you have informed the chairperson
We don't
that
know.
at 16 hours you are going to request to leave. Am I correct? Yeah, but that you have also taken leave with the chairperson. It's not because you are disenchanted or because you are running away, but because at lunchtime you came to the chair and say, sometimes around 16 hours, I'm going to request to be released. Correct? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Disenchanted is a big word, he doesn't understand it.
Thank you, Chair. Acting Minister, on the Public Protector, you said except for a questionable one. Which Public Protector were you referring to?
Maybe it's better if we just deal with issues of principle. I think that the
Acting
public,
Minister, just the name.
No, I'm
You said it.
Yes.
You said except for a questionable Public Protector. Which one were you referring to?
I think there was a period of time when
Just the
I
name.
think I do not want to, I've been careful. I
But
don't
then
want
you
to be,
shouldn't say that, Acting Minister. Chair, I think we
Yeah.
need your intervention because we just need the name of the Public Protector that the Acting Minister was referring to. Then he must say that. because he's
Chairperson, I
not
don't
saying.
think I can
You-
be compelled.
The Acting Minister
to-
is saying he doesn't want to say the name, but he throws shade around. We don't know which Public Protector he's referring to.
What do you want the acting minister to do?
To tell us which Public Protector the Acting Minister was referring to when he said
Okay.
there was a questionable.
Okay.
Public protector.
He had the question. What is your response, acting
I would,
minister?
I don't think it adds any value to in
But it's
this
for us to
inquiry to mention names, and I was giving an example. I was making a point about about whether or not constitutional arrangements guarantee the kind of outcomes, accountability outcomes we're seeking. That was the point I was making. Not so much who's good and who's bad. You know, I think that is to debase the discussion. It's not really
No, but
relevant.
on a point of order, Chair, I think the
Honourable
acting
Chair, I
minister is
think
digressing. That's not what I'm
I think
asking.
I can answer.
And he also doesn't. No, it's on a
Okay.
point, and also I'm on a, still on. And I'm on a point of order, Chair. We're not going to decrease. He doesn't know what my next question is going to be. And it's a follow-up question talking about the issue of independence and political interference. If the acting minister did not want to decrease, he shouldn't have mentioned it in the first place. So either he must withdraw that, or he must tell us which public protector is he referring to. Because then we're going to talk about the political interference, which is within the terms of reference of our ad hoc committee.
Acting Minister, do you want to mention the name of that public protector, or do you want to withdraw that statement?
Well, if that's my choice, then I withdraw the statement.
The statement is withdrawn, honorable members. Do you want to start using your time now? Eh? Okay, let's get to your time before you start. Let me allocate. It's now 15:43. Your 20 minutes will expire at 16:03.
We're not trying to be ageist or anything. How old are you?
I assume that you think the question is relevant. I'm born in 1958.
That's 66.
Yes.
What's the cutoff age for enrollment as a police trainee in South African Police Service? Do you know the cutoff age when they take in trainees?
As a trainee, you mean the young recruits? I'm not sure what the age is.
Yeah, it's 35 years old. And what is the age of retirement for a SAPS member?
60?
60 and then 65 by approval. You indicated that there were statements made by the former Minister Becky Cele, which you did not wish to associate with, if I heard correctly. What specifically are those statements?
Yes, I think this is an important matter. I mean, I was quite surprised by that particular testimony. So I think there is a question that all of us in public office have to ask about the company we keep. And I think that applies when you're in office and when you've left office. So I do not want to be to dwell on this matter. You might compel me to, but I do think that there is a general question of principle about how we conduct ourselves in public office, who we associate with, and to have statements. It's not acceptable to accept accommodation from a criminal. And it didn't appear as if my predecessor, one of my predecessors, considered that to be a problem. He didn't suggest that. And listening to him, I thought that was not right. It's not giving the right message to the public. A lot of what we are apparently dealing with has got to do with such relationships. Relationships with middlemen, with lobbyists, with those who are peddling influence. And it turns out that some of them may be criminals. That can't be acceptable. It's not acceptable. And so it goes to, it's a question of judgment and probity when you are in a position of influence. And so I didn't agree with that his statements, those particular statements. I did point out that on his general analysis of the issues implicated in the decision to disband the PKKT, that I agreed with his assessment, his reasoning, rather.
Thank you, Acting Minister. So just to be clear, so outside of him having a meeting and accepting accommodation from Kat Nhlanhla, is there anything else? Because that's the only thing that we know. Is there anything else that wasn't reported here as to the ad hoc committee that you know of that is questionable by the former Minister, Becky Cele?
No, in fact, let me say, that's why I was surprised by the statement. I mean, I have known Becky Cele for a long time. We have belonged to the same organization. I had no, we're not personal friends. We're in the same organization and have had a respectful relationship when I have encountered him. And I was surprised by those statements. I haven't watched either the Nhlanhla Commission inquiry or this inquiry consistently throughout the day. I have, I've been busy, so I've tried to watch as much as possible, but I didn't listen to all his testimony. I listened to parts of it, and that part jumped out at me. I thought that if the committee, for instance, is dealing with making recommendations for that will help the country move forward, to make recommendations on systemic reform, then that might be one of the questions to look at. I mean, how we manage conflicts of interest, and the implications of these associations, which appear to have become normalized in our politics, and I don't accept that.
The issue around designated functions for the deputy ministers have come up quite strongly. President Ramaphosa has given this responsibility to the ministers to do so. What is the process? Do you know what the process is of designating functions, which is different to responsibilities of saying, DM, go and represent me in the ad hoc committee or go, but designated functions?
So you can correct me. My understanding is that executive authority cannot be delegated. So a minister exercises executive authority on appointment by the president, exercising his or her constitutional functions. I do not think that the minister can delegate that a constitutionally authorized allocation of responsibility downwards, or to to a deputy minister. So deputy ministers don't exercise executive authority, but it doesn't follow that their role is. I've indicated in my when I was responding to the advocate's question, that the deputy ministers, especially in a large department like the police, do play an important role, and different ministers will have a different attitude. Sometimes there's the potential for conflict, because if a minister is exercising executive authority and they're the one, and you are held accountable, then you may be reluctant to share their responsibility. But that's not my perspective. I'm not saying that sometimes there aren't stress points in such relationships, but I have allocated important functions to them, and it shouldn't be, allocation may not be the right formulation, because we sat down together, discussed it as collegially. We also happen to be comrades, we're in the same party. Often that will be the case. If there were deputy ministers from another party, it wouldn't change my attitude. But I know these, the two of them personally. I respect them. I respect their role also in the organization I belong to. They are leaders in their own right. I respect that. So that helps in my relationship with them. I have to say both of them have been very, I think they've embraced my appointment and my presence. And I value that, because it could have been otherwise.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Acting Minister. I think you have sufficiently covered. You're going to use up all my time, I can just see, but lucky I don't have that many questions for you. Have you engaged the President about, because he came here to Parliament and during his question and answers about deputy ministers, he indicated that ministers must designate functions that the deputy ministers are going to be responsible for here in Parliament and must answer to it. That's what he told us. So have you engaged him about that? Because sitting down and having an informal meeting or having a meeting with your deputy ministers and saying, okay, these are your responsibilities, seems to be a very different vibe from what we were told as members of Parliament, what is expected from the deputy or from the ministers. But I think we'll let that go. Speak to your president and get clarity, and we'll meet in the Police Portfolio Committee on that issue. In your statement, Acting Minister, you said that you were appointed to the committee of experts that drafted the first versions of the constitutional principles. Let me get this right. So prior to 1990, did you at any stage engage or form part of the ANC's Department of Legal and Constitutional Affairs on the constitutional questions?
No, but I worked very closely with many of the members of that committee. I effectively, when I was in the Center for Applied Legal Studies as a researcher, worked on various projects led by Justice Albie Sachs. I engaged, I worked in ANC structures with Zola Squia and Kader Asmal and Bridget Mabandla. I knew them well, worked well, but I was, I would say at that point, quite junior. I was learning from them, just happy to have the opportunity to engage with some of those giants, yeah.
Okay, so that was prior to 1990, okay. Let's talk about your relationship with President Ramaphosa. How would you characterize that?
It's a very respectful relationship. He's the president. I might say he's our president, and I treat him with all the deference that a president should be treated with, in my view. I respect what he's accomplished. I have not always agreed with his point of view on some matters, but that, and I'm not going to be willing to explore those matters in this committee. I think he's been an important leader for South Africa in the post-capture era. But the problems we still have are we are lucky to have him as the president. That's my view.
Very good political answer. So outside your formal appointment as the chairperson of the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council, do you engage with the president outside of that? Do you hang out by his house or at each other's homes? Do you have a friendship outside of the working relationship?
Can I say, even here, I think you will get respect from me if it's mutual.
Are you saying that because am I being disrespectful?
I think you should appreciate the fact that when you ask me a question, side comments are that's what they are,
But I'm
and
saying
you
it's a good
expect
political answer.
expect me not to respond, and I won't take the bait in general. But your question is whether I hang out with the
But,
president. No, I don't.
Okay, maybe I mustn't say hang out. So have you visited the president's home outside of your engagement before you were appointed as the acting minister?
No, I haven't.
You haven't. Any of his homes?
No.
Okay. Your relationship with Trevor Manuel, how would you characterize that?
We are close comrades. I think you might, because you're asking me questions about before 1990. I am 66 years old. I spent a lot of time in the struggle. I knew him in that capacity before he became an important minister. I knew him when he was in the trenches and when I was in the trenches. So I know him for a long time, and my relationship with him is based on our involvement in the struggle, not really on his position of high office after we achieved our democracy.
Mm. And then how would you describe your relationship with the late Minister Pravin Gordhan?
I miss him terribly. He was, in my view, an absolutely outstanding cadre of our movement and a public servant of unimpeachable integrity. He was subjected to a lot of abuse at times, completely without justification. But he lives on in our hearts and minds, and I believe in our history books.
Have you met or engaged Paul Sullivan?
No, I know he's quite famous, but I've had no engagement with him.
Okay. I'm done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable Souls. Honorable Souls, look at me. I'm not saying you must do anything. I'm saying good afternoon to you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Thank you so much. Can we take Honorable James? We will come back to, I want you to settle and follow the proceedings. You will
Thank you.
indicate to me when you are ready, yourself and Honorable Mwango.
Thank you, Chair.
Can we take Honorable James?
Actually, I thought IFP is going before me, but anyway.
No, yeah.
Good afternoon, Minister. Minister, do you think South Africans should be content by the fact that you are the fourth minister?
No, I think that the instability there, the changes, if you have, if you're appointed as an important portfolio and you have the time to achieve something, that's important. So the changes that have been occasioned have been what the President thought necessary in the circumstances that we found ourselves after General Mkhwanazi made that statement. has led to it's a hiatus. It's a period. It was a sort of inflection point or crisis point that led to my appointment. I'm very aware of that. That it's and I was quite shocked, and I would say even saddened by the fact that Senzim Chunu was put on special leave. I've always held him in high regard, and I was surprised. I'm surprised by some of the evidence that has been led. As the chairperson of the council, quite shortly before these events, he agreed to meet with myself as the chair of the council, and we'd struggled to get a meeting previously, to engage with SAPS on the work that we were trying to do. And we had a very productive meeting.
Sorry, Minister, we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
Can we leave it at that you were saddened, that you weren't quite content with being appointed as the fourth minister, placing strain on the South African purse? Am I right?
I tend to be quite frugal in the way I carry out this office. I haven't, as you know, in the private office, for many reasons, but there I have used secondments. Major General Susan Pinar is now the Chief of Staff. The person who was acting as the Chief of Staff, or in the position of the Chief of Staff, appointed by Minister Mchunu, I felt that if he's going to appear before the Nhlanhla Commission and yourselves, and given some of the evidence that's being led, that he should no longer carry that responsibility for me. But General Pinar is a career police officer, so there's no additional budgetary implications.
Minister, I'm going to request of you to please keep your answers very short. I don't have a lot of time. When the President Cyril Ramaphosa called you, what was his ask and what did it entail? Take us through that conversation.
It was a very brief conversation. I had said in public that, I was watching tennis that day. It was a Sunday. And my phone was upstairs. It rang a few times, but I ignored the ringing. And then it was about 7 o'clock that evening, I got a call from his national security advisor to say the president is looking for you, and please take his call. So I said, of course I'll take his call. And then the president called me about 5 minutes later and said, listen, I want to appoint you as the Minister of Police. I was taken aback, and I must have asked him, well, what's happened with the incumbent? He must have given me, I don't recall now in detail, a brief explanation, but I didn't hesitate.
Okay.
I just accepted this as a responsibility.
Okay, you didn't hesitate, you didn't think of the fact that there were already 2 deputy ministers, you didn't highlight that, you didn't ask him why me, you didn't highlight the fact that this would put strain on the public purse, you just said, I'm in it.
I didn't even know there were 2 deputy ministers.
Okay.
I hadn't been, I just didn't know that.
You didn't say to him, give me some time to think about it,
No,
because
I
obviously these decisions will impact the greater South Africa. You just said, despite not knowing that there were 2 deputy ministers, you just said, I'll take the job.
Maybe we have a cultural issue here. You have to understand that, for the generation that I grew up in, public office was not a prospect, and it wasn't it wasn't the aim. And I can say that to you with complete frankness. I am carrying out a public responsibility. Of course, it's a high office. It has a lot of status and responsibility. But I'm not, that is, it really doesn't interest me, to be perfectly frank.
Thank you, Minister. You're not that kind of guy. Minister, South Africans are frustrated. They are angry like me. What are some of the low-hanging fruit that we can act on right now towards reform? Because we also don't know how long you're going to be in this position. And we know whenever a new person, minister, steps in, all the old strategies gets thrown in the bin. So we don't know how long you're going to be there. Have you identified low-hanging fruit that we can implement immediately?
So I'm going to take the time that's necessary to understand what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. I don't think there are low-hanging fruit in the South African police service. It might be that there are some immediate steps that have to be taken around consequence management, for instance. I've identified some clear areas where I think attention needs to be directed, like accountability in supply chain. But I'm not going to rush into making decisions. I will engage, I will consult, I will reflect, and I will act.
Thank you, Minister. You don't see firing of General Sibia and the Minister as a low-hanging fruit based on the allegations and the evidence that has been brought before the Nhlanhla Commission?
Which minister?
Minister, I must watch my pronunciation here. Minister Nkunu, yes.
Well, that's not my decision.
Okay.
Okay.
But I asked you your view in
My
terms
view-
of low-hanging fruit that would contribute towards
No,
reform immediately.
I'm afraid I can't. That's the President's decision, and that's my answer.
Okay. Minister, let's take a walk down memory lane because I see there's similarities here. We saw the disbandment of the Scorpions in 2008. I think this was under President Jacob Zuma as well. We see all these presidents disbanding entities when they are embroiled in corruption. We saw the replacement of the Hawks under SAPS. Also another failed mandate, South Africa suffering with the consequences. We now see IDAC under NPA, another interagency mess. We know that you served as the chairperson of the National Anti-Corruption Council, I'm right? And there you've made a recommendation for another entity, I think it was called the Public Office of Integrity. The Public Office of Integrity. The Office of Public Integrity, sorry. Do you want to start another anti-corruption body? That's going to take us how long? We've seen sort of the negative impact and the corruption within these Chapter 9 institutions, and we know this could possibly take years. Do you think this is the right step to take?
So maybe you're confusing the Hawks with the Scorpions. The Hawks, that's the DPCI. It continues to exist. It's in SAPS. It's a very important component, and I've indicated that I think that it needs to be developed and reshaped into the main vehicle for attacking organized crime. So it does exist. Your observations about IDAC are not quite right, because IDAC came out of a constitutional court judgment responding to the disbandment of the Scorpions, which is what I think you intended to say. And it's an attempt to implement a prosecution-led approach to the fight against corruption by strengthening the independence of that institution. So what you are mischaracterizing with respect to this initiative. It's an important initiative in the reform process. It's not going to be helpful with respect, member, to be impatient with the serious questions we're facing around institutional reform and capacity building. We had an extraordinary achievement in this country when we had a democratic breakthrough. We adopted a constitution in a relatively peaceful way, and we set up a range of institutions. Some of them have been an enormous success. Others have failed. The challenge is to learn from those experiences, look at where we need to rebuild capacity, and where necessary, establish new institutions, because we are dealing with an evolving situation that could not possibly have been anticipated 30 years ago. Now, the proposal we've made, you're quite right, when you establish institutions, it can take a long time. Australia is in the process of establishing a similar anti-corruption institution. It took them 15 years, as I understand it. And now in the implementation phase, I understand that they've experienced some problems. Can you say that the Australians are wrong to consider establishing an anti-corruption institution because they came to the conclusion that they needed one? They had the usual institutions, strong prosecutors, investigative bodies, and so forth, but they considered that it was necessary to establish an anti-corruption institution. Our Constitutional Court has said that we need to establish an anti-corruption institution, and across the world, anti-corruption institutions have been established in jurisdictions across the world in the last 10 years. They are responding. That's a response to a real need. Now, the way we've approached this question is pragmatically. I know if you're asking me questions that require a response, I need to have the time to respond if you want an answer, because I can't give you a simple answer. So if you feel that I've run out of time, I'll stop.
I didn't say anything, Minister.
No, I just thought that I might be running out of time because you did indicate that I'm taking too long with my answers. Now, the OPI is not an entirely new body. We've looked at the SIU, which has infrastructure across the country, proven capabilities of leadership, and a proven skills base. That institution has shown success, and it has a footprint across the country. It's led by someone I think has outstanding leadership abilities, Motibe. Now, what we've said is that we need to establish this we need new capabilities, because it has the capabilities of the SIU at the moment are specific. Only the President issues specific proclamations based on evidence that's provided to investigate a particular matter like Tembisa Hospital. And then they are limited to exercising powers that the President has conferred by proclamation. That's not optimal. You need a body that can investigate matters without a presidential proclamation. You need a body that can deal with whistleblowing. We don't have such institutions in place at the moment. So what we have proposed is to augment, to build upon the powers and functions of the SIU by adopting a new statute, expand its powers and functions, but build on what it's already achieved, because that will shorten the time that it takes to establish an institution. And while we are doing that, the SIU will continue incrementally to expand its powers and capabilities. So we have made a proposal which takes the country's resource constraints into account, its needs into account, because we certainly need to fight corruption more effectively. Now let me give you an example of what we're trying to achieve. A real live example. Tembisa Hospital. We are acting too late now. We're learning the truth too late. The harm has already been done. That institution has been destroyed by corruption. That corruption is systemic. What happened is that cartels took over the systems of the hospital. And it then started to serve the interests of the cartels, not the patients. Now, what we have in mind is an institution that has powers of search and seizure, of entry, of investigation, that could have gone into the hospital, looked at their systems, came to conclusions based on the evidence, made binding recommendations on, for instance, on procurement reform, and we've said, in addition, if they discover evidence of criminal malfeasance, they should be able to carry out the criminal investigation. So in a very limited way, they've been given powers of criminal investigation. We didn't want to go the whole hog because other bodies have the responsibility, like the DPCI, to investigate crime. It is going to take time. We took 3 years to adopt the report. The country had adopted the anti-corruption plan 2 years earlier. That's 5 years already. And I would say the report is nowhere near the implementation phase. It hasn't yet been
Minister,
adopted
I'm
in
so
government.
sorry. With all due respect, I think you've responded. You're now giving us case studies and examples. I think if anything...
Okay, that's fine if you
what-
are satisfied with my answer.
I'm satisfied, yes. I think if anything, that's more concerning now, the fact that you speak about this long process and the fact that we don't have an institution or a body in place that can protect whistleblowers. I also want to ask on a different topic, Minister. You mentioned that you were concerned, something along those lines, about the conduct of former Minister Becky. Am I right? Yeah, thanks for saying that for me. And you mentioned association. You know, one needs to, the company we keep, you spoke about having a principled approach. Is that correct? Right now we have a strategy for, yesterday we spoke in the committee for the Cape Flats, am I correct? Okay. The generals heading up the strategy, is General Mosikile one of them? You speak about having ethical leaders, you speak about association. Is this the same general that was embroiled in a case for, I think it was buying macro goods backdoor?
Yes,
Are you aware of that?
yes, I am aware
And you
that...
think she's the right person to spearhead the operation for the Cape Flats?
So, I'm aware that there's an IPID investigation.
Okay.
I do not have, they have not come to a conclusion.
Okay,
But
so
I'm aware that
despite the
matter's being
fact that you know that she's embroiled, there's a case against her, a current case against her, you choose that person. Despite the fact that we don't have public trust, that person is now going to head up an operation in the Western Cape to deal with corruption when she herself has allegations of corruption.
I didn't choose General Musikili.
Okay.
She is the deputy national
Are you able to
commissioner.
advise the NC against her sort of leading up this operation? Obviously not instructing, maybe just, you know, saying to him, hey, can we look at someone else until she's cleared? We're not saying she's guilty.
Yes. No, I haven't considered that. It might be that I think that you are raising a matter that is concerning. I do not dispute that. I have to work with what's there.
Okay.
There is also a whole team. Lieutenant General Sentumule has also been critical in formulating the strategy. You know, there's a whole team of people working, so I don't think...
We understand that,
Yes.
Minister. We're specifically speaking about this one person. We have seen over the years and over the past couple of months how people that has come into this house are embroiled in crime. So we want to know that whatever we do going forward, we don't have those elements and those characters as part of operations that's meant to sort of restore public trust. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Minister, anything to say from that comment?
No, I think it's a fair comment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable James. Honorable Skosan.
Chair, I thought the acting minister will respond on that because we don't want to go out of here misleading the public. Honorable James mentioned that the Scorpion was disbanded by President Zuma. It's not true. And the minister knows because unless he has resigned from the ANC. In 2007, in the National Conference, the ANC took a resolution. And then President Kgalema Motlanthe disbanded the Scorpion in 2009 in January. I wanted to put that on record, that we should not really mislead the public. President Kgalema Motlanthe, at that time, disbanded the Scorpion. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, may I say, Chairperson, because I am assuming the honourable member was in that conference, so was I, and I definitely opposed that decision vigorously, and I confirm today that I think it was the wrong decision, and we are learning the lessons of that decision. But otherwise, I have no dispute with the facts that you are putting on record.
No, Chair, I just wanted to make that clear. The issue is debatable. When I get my time, I'll respond on that. For me, it was a good decision because it was politically targeting people. Hence, we took that resolution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Sangon. Do you want to start questioning?
Okay.
Remember, they have just joined in the afternoon and.
Oh, okay. Oh, man, young disorganized. Okay. Thank you.
Are you
Chair.
ready?
I'm ready. I must just find my notes, which I can't find now. Okay. All right. Thank you, Minister. Sorry, I was still stretching and laughing at Honorable Skosana there. Minister, let me thank you very much for, firstly, I think your appearance, but also the contributions that you made in your statement. And I do want to say that, I mean, we've been trying to go through them with a fine-tooth comb, and really the work that you put in to help us look at possible areas of reforms is really appreciated. So thank you for that. Just a few questions that I've got, I think, arising from your statement. In paragraph 23, you indicate that there's a problem with procurement supply chain issues, I'm paraphrasing, as it relates to crime intelligence, so the whole /fund Secret Service account. And you then juxtapose the fact that you can't use the normal procurement processes. However, there's a requirement for these covert operations. Now, you would know Section 217 of the Constitution requires transparency in the process of procurement and supply chain. How are you thinking that that can be resolved? Because, I mean, a lot of these problems do arise from that /fund issue.
Thank you for the question, Honourable Member. It has to be resolved. I mean, so step one is to recognize that Section 217 of the Constitution is applicable. So any system that is designed for the closed account has to be compliant with 217. But I also think that there has to be a special dispensation. So the question becomes how to achieve transparency, which is consistent with the work of crime intelligence, which is vitally important for the fight against crime, particularly organized crime. I mean, think about the gang violence in the Western Cape and across the country. What we need is good intelligence. So we need to rebuild crime intelligence, they need to be able to, they need informer networks and so forth and so forth. They need to operate in a clandestine way. They need to spend money, in the course of the work that they do. But we, as the in Parliament and in public and the public in general, need to be assured that the money is not being misused. So I think there has to be a special dispensation, and I indicated that I've asked Deputy Minister Nhlanhla to look at that question. It's probably going to require reform of the. I understand that the extant legislation has not changed in the post-apartheid era, and that we're still operating with apartheid era legislation. The problem is not just that, it's that we don't have a regime that is designed for our needs now that we are a constitutional democracy. And how that circle should be squared, I don't have answers yet. We have to go through an inquiry process, but it needs to be done. Yesterday, the Treasury took an important step to grant the criminal intelligence in SAPS an exemption, which the other security agencies have enjoyed, because without that exemption, the Auditor General has had no option but to find on a routine basis that the account should be qualified. That's obviously because they don't have full assurance. So we need a system of assurance on the one hand, and we need to build up crime intelligence. I think that's one of the areas perhaps that the committee can also take a view on.
Okay, I hear you, Minister. I don't want to dwell on this, but I mean, looking at it, I would have wondered if it was not just about strengthening oversight and accountability on that instead of a whole new dispensation. But let's leave it, since you're saying you're still wrapping your head around it as well. Then on paragraph 25, you indicate that since the head of IPID is appointed by the minister, this has been open to abuse. Is this an apprehension, Minister, or is there something that informs this perspective? So you're worried about it, or has it happened? Has it been abused?
No, I have no reason to think that the decisions that have been made in the past have been impaired in some way. The IPID has evolved into quite a strong institution. The audit reports, as I was indicating, showed that yesterday. It can be strengthened. I just think that there's an institutional problem that could lead to those consequences, because IPID investigates misconduct in the police service. Now, there's a potential tension between the police service and IPID. The minister is the minister of the police, but I'm supposed to appoint, that position is now, needs to be filled, but it's an acting person there now, by the minister. I have to do that. I think I might look at whether there's a way to ensure that the IPID appointment process is more independent, because neither the IPID needs to be at a distance both from the minister and the national commissioner, but they both have to have a respectful relationship with IPID if they're committed to an integrity project, to improving integrity in SAPS. So there is, you've got the minister who's executive authority of SAPS. I appoint IPID. IPID is the watchdog of the police. I'm not sure that works optimally.
Yeah. Speaking about tensions then, Minister, what, in your opinion, Do these events, recent events, and I'm referencing here particularly the arrest of General Khumalo, has it had any impact on the relationship between SAPS and IDEC?
I think probably without any doubt. And so it is concerning. It's concerning because these bodies have the responsibility to deal with crime. And now there's a situation where IDEC is investigating the head of intelligence, crime intelligence, for corruption. You know, it's not a desirable situation, and I think there is now tension between IDEC and the police, and that's not a good position to be in.
Okay, when you were delivering your testimony, Minister, I saw that you didn't want to dwell on the issue, but I do want to dwell on it a bit. When General Masemula was here, I did ask him about, you know, this thing of IDEC going to arrest somebody for high employment practice irregularity, whatever it was, an HR issue though. He thought that it was unusual. I know that when the head of IDEC sits before us, she's going to couch it as state capture. Ne? I don't know. For me, it's a stretch, right? And I don't know, in your extensive experience, and I mean, if people have done wrong, okay, consequences must follow, but in your extensive experience, have you come across somebody who would have been arrested, you know, and then there's issues of fraud and what relating to employment irregularities?
You know, I have the same question, but I think that it wouldn't be correct for me to answer that question. I look forward actually to IDEC's appearance before the committee, so that they will take the opportunity to clarify this matter, because I do know what General Masemola's view is, and I would say that because the matter does apparently relate to a decision to appoint a particular person in a particular position, which is usually doesn't lead to suspicions of criminality. So they will have to definitely clarify why they have charged General Khumalo and why they arrested him.
So Minister, you come into the...
Honorable Sokanyile.
Thank you, sorry, Honourable Member. I've got a follow-up to the answer of the Minister, whereby he's saying that...
Yeah, the follow-up will come later. Let's allow Honorable Sanguni to conclude you. Yeah. That is the decision you unanimously voted for.
I didn't hear.
Okay. Sorry, Minister. So I was saying you come in on the 1st of August, right? And you're not the fourth minister. You are the second. Well, in fact, there isn't even a second. There's one minister. There were two acting. Okay, doesn't matter. You come in on the 1st of August, and obviously you weren't there before, Minister. But what did you find there? You know, I think a number of members of this committee hold a view that a lot of these problems that we are seeing at SAPS is about infighting, divisions. I know that the generals are sensitive to us calling them factions, divisions within the top leadership of SAPS. So what did you find when you got there? Do you find an institution that is cohesive? Yeah, maybe that's my question.
Look, I have to carry out my responsibilities with the existing leadership of SAPS. So I am working with them, and I'm trying to work as constructively as possible with them. The speculation out there, which has a basis, I don't deny that, about divisions and so forth, can't be my starting point, can't be my default position. So I go to work every day. I engage with General Masemola, usually more than frequently throughout the day. I meet with the generals and others. The background to the tensions are not my focus. I think that it won't be constructive and productive for me to form views, strong views about, you know, about the concerns about factionalism and so forth. But clearly, because I can't behave like an ostrich, I have to understand the dynamics within the organization, the relationships that have developed, the loyalties that exist and don't exist. And I think that there's going to be a challenge to build a cohesive leadership that is focused on the way forward. And my message to them is, you know, defend your uniform, defend your country, defend your people, focus on what you need to be doing, correct misbehavior, understand that you're losing the confidence, the trust of the people of this country. Let's work together to restore that trust. That has to be my focus. So I'm not one, you know, I'm not avoiding your question. It's just, and I do have views. I do have views about what might be going on, about who's who, but I don't think it would be right for me to act on the basis of supposition, on impressions, subjectively, on impressions. I have to work with what's there, to respect the people who are in positions, and to start to hold them accountable. And that includes General Masemola, that includes the deputy generals, including those against whom there are accusations. And we're going to have to get there. We get to get to a point where they can act cohesively as a leadership in accordance with their mandate. And I do feel that there's a lot to work with. I have said, and I think that there are many, that there are officers in the leadership of SAPS who are competent, who are professional, who are well-trained, that the organization as a whole functions every day across the country. They go to work every day. They are fighting crime, they're arresting criminals every day. But we also know what's coming, what is being revealed in the Nhlanhla Commission, what is being revealed in this ad hoc committee. We can't ignore that. And as I've said, you are going to help us, I hope, the country as well, to understand objectively what's happened and to move forward.
Okay, I've got 6 minutes left, so I'll be very quick. There was something that you said that concerned me a bit, Minister, when you said you didn't have a handover. I mean, obviously, yeah, the circumstances are a bit... but I'm worried whether you won't fall into the same trap that Minister Mkhwanazi fell into. Because Minister Ele said, in fact, I think I'm quoting him verbatim, when he said, if he had just called me and spoken to me, this would never have happened. Now, when you come in and you don't have a handover, you said you wanted to have fresh eyes, but are you not worried that that lack of institutionalized memory, at least at the level of the ministry, would then be lacking. And, you know, I mean, for example, you came in and there's Mr. Ngabinde. I don't know what that experience was like, but does it not concern you that you didn't have a handover with your predecessor?
It didn't sit well with me at all, and I reflected a long time because of my relationship with Senzo. You know, I didn't sit well with me. I didn't want him to feel like I had prejudged matters, that I was sitting in judgment of him. But the decision I made was that if I had met with him and then there would inevitably have been a conversation about the events concerning the disbandment of the team, for instance. He would have clearly taken the opportunity to share his impressions with me. That would have made it difficult for me to build trust with the police, with General Masemola, certainly General Mkhwanazi. And I have to say that I think, I mean, you know, I was definitely in a difficult position with the Chief of Staff there. Again, you know, I have no reason to impugn his integrity because I'm now in this public forum. We worked well together for a period of time. But then I said to him, look, you know, you are going to be appearing before the Nhlanhla Commission, before the ad hoc committee. You might well have had a certain engagement with the issues which are going to be explored in this process, and I can't, in that situation, continue to have you as my Chief of Staff because it just creates the wrong impression. The perception is not right. And of course, I've been confirmed in that decision by you know, by how events have unfolded. So I made a difficult decision. You can imagine, you know, we are in the same organization, and you know what it means to have relationships in the same organization. You treat each other with respect. You have a special bond. I didn't want Senzo to think that you know, that I was pleased with what had happened. I wasn't. But I also thought that prudence demanded that I accept that I couldn't have a normal engagement with my predecessor. That was the decision that I took. It has meant that I've had to find my feet with a great deal more difficulty. I have had the two deputy ministers, but even with them, they were there.
Sorry, Minister, I'm going to stop you. You saw the chair is brutal. And I want to get in my last question. There are many South Africans, Minister, who believe that, you know, these commissions, reports and things are a waste of time. I know that Honorable James had asked you about quick wins or low-hanging fruit. I'm interested to just find out that in your experience, I know you haven't been there for long, but are you taking anything from whether it was the Zondo Commission, the Mufamadi report, you know, I think that, I don't know if there was another one about intelligence. Are you taking anything that come from these commissions and these reviews and using it to build better? You know, because you did say from this there must be a reset from the police service. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All of those reports that you mentioned, I have a direct line with the President's National Security Advisor. You know, we engage regularly. I am looking at all of these reports, the Zonda report, the January 1st report that you're referring to. So a lot of reading, and I see part of my responsibility as integrating these recommendations and insight into the work that we must do. So on crime intelligence, the Zondo Commission made quite extensive findings, and I'm going to use those findings as a basis to engage with the National Commissioner.
And then the implementation of NACAC, the NACAC recommendations, who's responsible for that?
Well, it's not entirely clear yet, but the recommendations affect mainly the Department of Justice and the South African Police Service. We have moved ahead. I've had engagements with Minister Kubai. We're in the workshop phase because we have to bring the two departments together. And it's not going to be easy because there's the DPCI that sits under me, and then there's the SIU and IDEC and the NPA that sits under the Minister of Justice. And her department will also have to agree to implement a version of these proposals because they might raise issues that we didn't anticipate, that we hadn't thought about, and so forth, or from their perspective. And so what might come out of this process are, I hope that the bulk of the recommendations will be implemented with some amendments. There is some momentum after the President said that he supports them. And now that, you know, I am in a better position to drive this working with Minister Kubai, who is definitely interested in this project. So I hope that we can make progress.
Thank you, Minister. And thank you once again for your beautiful exposition of ministerial powers. It was the most clarity I've seen on this topic for a long time. Thank you, Chairperson. I have no further questions.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much, Honorable Sangun. Charlie, are you ready, my friend?
I think that the argument that was made that we need a response to this kind of crime across the country, because remember how a task team works. It's not specifically necessarily it's not part of the budget.
Yeah. No, Minister, I understand that.
Yes, give me a chance.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
So, yes.
the explanation,
Yes.
I understand. I just wanted to find out
Yes. Do I,
whether you to do that, because for you to explain, it will take another 4 minutes
yes,
again,
I
please.
agree with you. Okay, no, I think that I would definitely say that the process of arriving at the decision doesn't seem to me have been the right one. You know, we can have that conversation. I'm happy to have that conversation with my predecessor. It looks to me like the process was not optimal, that there needed to be consultation, even if it wasn't clear that the interministerial committee continued to exist, because I think that is not clear to me. But even if he did, he ought to have consulted with the ministers who had been part of that process in the previous administration, and he certainly ought to have sought to reach agreement with the National Commissioner and making a decision of such import. That's what I now think.
No, in fact, he was not supposed to do that, you know, not necessarily consulting the National Commissioner. Relating to the disbandment, you said that you were not in a position to conclude that Mkhwanazi's decision was a wrong decision, and by that time. And we are sitting here today. Do you still maintain that you cannot reach the conclusion of whether Mkhwanazi's decision to dissolve the task team was wrong? Just an answer on that one.
Yes, but Honourable Cachalia, with respect, I thought I'd answered the question and you cut me off. I was saying, in fact, that I think today, having considered all the information that I now have, and having listened to testimony before this inquiry process and the Nhlanhla Commission, I think that there are serious questions to be asked about the way the decision was reached. And my own view is definitely, as I've said in my statement, that the problem of political killings is an ongoing one. So, I think not only the process, but I question the decision itself.
Do you think it's necessary to follow, if I may say, the issue which was raised by Professor Mary Haas in relation to the allegation of abuse of power? Do you believe that there was any abuse of power?
I have said in my statement that there were certain good practices of the PKTT that we can learn from. Basically, that they brought the prosecutors and investigators together in the same team. I think that's the right approach, a prosecution-led approach. There are allegations that have been made in the public domain by Mary Haas and a few others, I understand. Those are not allegations that have been made formally, brought to my attention formally. So I have no basis for assessing and evaluating them. But of course, if there have been such abuses, if there have been, those matters are properly within any inquiry process, and it would be concerning if they were true.
Sitting here, me and you and other honorable members and South Africans, you know, we know that the Nhlanhla Commission's findings might be ignored, like the other one, Marikana and Zondo. And for us as parliamentarians, as you know, that after all this exercise, this matter will go to Parliament. But the Nhlanhla Commission report will go to the President. And the President will decide what to do with that report. Am I right?
Yes, you are right.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's not an answer to your question, because you have said that the Zondo Commission report, the recommendations were not recommended. I don't accept that that is an accurate statement.
Okay.
Okay. No, but I mean.
No, I understand that. You said I'm not accurate because, Chair, through you, Chair, I've seen the way the professor respond on these matters. And my time is going to be, you know, I won't have enough time. So I'm saying I understand what you say. I don't want to go to that debate because I can go to that debate to say we are still having people who were fingered by Zondo, a commission. You still have a minister who was acting here. Minister Kwete Mantashe, they are still here. So for me, let's leave that for now. Let me come to this. I understand that you don't believe in that. It's okay. I understand that. Otherwise, you're going to put me into a class.
Listen,
please.
I mean, I understand that that I take a long time to provide answers. It's been a problem all my life. But I am trying to be candid and to answer your questions fully. Now, with your direction, Honourable Chair, I think that the Honourable Member makes statements in the form of questions, and then it doesn't allow me to respond. These are political statements on which I also have views. So if he puts a question to me in the form of a statement, I should be allowed an opportunity to respond. We may not agree on the evaluation of how the Zondo Commission has been responded to, but what I would want, I'm asking the Chair for direction. This is an inquiry process. Are questions being put to me to establish what my views are, or is this an opportunity for members to make political statements in the inquiry process? Because for that purpose, I don't have to be here.
Chair, I want to appeal to you. I'm satisfied with his answer. Going further and further, it won't help. It won't change anything. So what I'm saying, I accepted your answer. Hence, I want to go and forward again to ask you other questions because there's limited time. Now, Chair, through you, I want to find out about this NACAC. That from where I'm sitting, it's like a private school. We've got the PPSA here. We have the PPSA here, which we have confidence, not long ago, though you've withdrawn. Now you want to have another institution, a Chapter 9 institution, where you used to share that. Am I right? I'm not sure whether we are still sharing it now.
NACAC doesn't exist any longer.
Yes,
Its mandate was terminated
okay.
after the 3-year period, which means that I'm no longer, NACAC doesn't exist and I'm no longer the chair of NACAC.
Thank you. Let me ask you, Prof, Acting Minister. I want to find out from you, in terms of foundations, who funds the Mandela Institution that you serve on, if you are still serving on that foundation?
Mandela Institute is an institute in the law school at Wits University, and it was part of the university, so I taught in the law school.
Yes.
I taught constitutional law, administrative law, jurisprudence, and then I was appointed to be the director of an institution that was named after Nelson Mandela because he believed that such an institution should be established inter alia to train young black lawyers in the fields of competition law, telecommunication law, and so forth. So it was an honor for me to serve as a
Chair, please protect me. I ask who funded. I know what Mandela Institute is. I just wanted to find out who is the funder, besides that.
But you are asking me a question about who's funding an institution which is part of the university on the assumption, apparently, that this is some institution that is not part of the university. Otherwise, the question wouldn't have been put.
Yeah, but you still not answering me. Is it funded by VET?
It's part of the university, and some of its funds came from courses like the one I mentioned that was being provided through the institute. So we developed courses like in competition law. We had students who were fee-paying students who registered with the Mandela Institute but were taught by professors in the law school, including myself.
Thank you. Were you a member of the National Indian Congress, Prof?
The National Indian Congress?
Yes, the National Indian Congress.
When did that exist?
No, I'm asking. If you say it doesn't exist, it's fine. I'm just asking you, were you a member of the Indian?
Okay. There was a National Indian Congress in India.
Did you serve with Pravin in that Congress?
I understand what you're asking me, but get your...
No, don't please. No, wait. Don't assume, Prof. I know you are a professor of law, but please, don't assume what I want to ask you. Please.
Now, you have asked me a question on a false premise, okay? So let me explain. Pravin Gordhan was a member of the Natal Indian Congress.
Yes.
Right. I was a member of the Transvaal Indian Congress.
Right?
Yes.
Which I know is.
Yes, those were provincially based structures.
True.
And they were part of the United Democratic Front, aligned with the African National Congress.
I'm aware of that.
That's my politics.
I'm aware of that.
Yes.
Now.
And
Now-
yes, I knew Pravin in that capacity.
Yeah, because I heard you were praising him not long ago. And if I may say, we are in this country in this mess because of him. And I'm not going to mince my weight on that. This country is on this state because of Pravin Gordhan. And I know I'm touching the nerves of other people, because you were talking about him, nobody raised a hand. Now somebody's raising a hand because I'm touching Pravin Gordhan. I know that he is no more. May his soul rest in peace. And I just want to tell you now, even if you praise him, this country is in a mess because of him. And my last 5 minutes, I'll donate it to Honorable Chongwe. Please, Chair, thank you.
Okay, before Honorable Shongwe speaks, there are two hands here. There is Honorable Sangoni and Honorable Matthys.
Thank you, Chair. But firstly, maybe on a point of procedure, I think a point of order requires that it is attended to immediately. Chairperson, this committee, the ad hoc committee, has got a set of terms of reference. And while we understand that it is an inquiry, and nobody has been told to rigidly stay within the terms of reference because we're probing, I do think that we take exception with the fact that members are asking questions that are extremely personal in nature, had nothing to do with the issues of this commission and this committee. And I think that, Chair, we need you to step in when such issues come up. Comrade, because he's not a member and he's no longer here. Comrade Pravin was not a minister of police. The minister is being badgered on issues. He had nothing to do with political instability at SAPS, all of the issues that are within our terms of reference. And I think it's very unfortunate that members keep going back to those issues and trying to cast aspersions on people who aren't even here to respond for themselves. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sangoni. Honorable Matthys.
Mine is a follow-up, Chair. The question that Honorable Kosana asked about the funding of the institute, so we do understand that, or I do understand at least, and I'm sure Honorable Kosana does, that it's funded largely by WITS, but WITS also accesses other private funding. So I think the question was more around
Chairperson,
that,
point
not
of
necessarily
order. You
on
didn't
that.
rule on my point of order, and it's happening again.
No, but it's,
This commission is established to investigate allegations made by
No,
General Mkhwanazi.
Honorable,
Yeah, no.
His matters, the minister was not
it's in
even
his
there
statement.
when General Mkhwanazi made this.
this is
The
in
fact that he
statement.
speaks about his history has got
Yeah,
nothing
so-
to do
yeah,
with
but
the
it
terms
does.
of reference.
It speaks to
No,
it is. So
Chairperson.
why is it asked in the statement to give a statement?
It's called
about
background,
serving-
background
yeah, so
about
we
the
also
witness.
trying to
No.
understand what the background is.
Honorable members.
No, it's there. So we're allowed to get clarity on background questions.
No. Honorable members, both of you are black women in this country who deserve to be praised, like many other women who came before this committee. And you need to be shining beacons of inspiration to many other black women coming from disadvantaged background, defying adversity and rising to this level. May you please speak, Honorable.
Continue.
I will come
Thank
back to that point of order, Honorable
Awesome.
Sango.
Are we going to hug after? It's fine. We are teaching the women of the country, Chair, that we can disagree passionately and we can be fine after. We don't always have to agree on everything. But thank you, Chair, for the lecture on women's rights and movements. So if you could speak to that, but also, do you serve or have you served on any other NGOs? And also just speak to where they get funding from. And the other follow-up question Yeah, that's it. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Should I proceed? Should I proceed?
Yeah, no, before you respond, I should make a statement here. Because there are matters that have been raised by honorable members here. And I want to remind you, honorable members, that when we passed the terms of reference, the former member of this parliament, Honorable Kodan, was long buried, and may his soul rest in peace, and may it continue to rest in peace. You know, we can commit many types of crimes, but I have never heard about a crime called the violation of the dead. I don't know what kind of a crime is that one, and how do you find yourself answerable to that kind of a crime. And I'm going to plead with honorable members that we do not commit such crimes. People who are resting eternally, let's allow them to rest. If the honorable minister comes here and we ask him about a person who is no more, what is our expectation from him? How does he respond to a question like that one? Or if a person who is late has been a member of the Natal Indian Congress, it's many years ago. So may we please confine ourselves to the terms of reference that we have passed, and the order that has been called here is sustained. Honorable Nomvalo, Honorable Skosan.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair, for affording me an opportunity. Chair, I would like us to politely convince each other as members of this committee on what I want to raise, Chair. Number one, our style of questioning can never be similar, because what you think is not what you, what I think is not what you think. I've got my own style of asking questions, and when we ask questions, some of us, we're not just throwing them. We ask questions so that we can get certain answers to note down, so that when we embark on deliberations, we are going to rely on what we have noted down. Now, I just want to make a typical example, Chairperson, on the question that was asked by Honorable Skosana. In my view, it is not of context. It is in line, and it is within the terms of reference. In terms of in the terms of reference, there is a paragraph that says political interference within SAPS, executive oversight versus operational interference, etc., etc. And it does not prescribe any time to say you must deal on political interference of this administration. So when Honorable Skosana asked about the political involvement of the minister, in my view, there is nothing
Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. My colleague has covered me, but I just want to say that when the witness was talking about other people who are not here, and when the issue of Praveen, when he was praising Praveen here, there was no one who raised a point of order. And it was not a question. I was just asking whether he knows. The last was it was a comment when I was saying that then Minister Praveen Gordhan is a cause of all these things, which we find ourselves in here. Now I'm saying that not in bad faith, but now for members to try to defend the minister he has answered for himself. Now all these shenanigans now, you know that because he's a member of the ANC, we are not here as that. You don't have to defend because of you want to close ranks, like the Indian kakabal. Because IDEC is coming here. There's an Indian cabal. It's there. We're going to talk about that. IDEC is coming here. Advocate Johnson is coming to tomorrow here. We want to know the truth. Hence we are here. And this report is going to go to Parliament. It's not like Nhlanhla. I'm saying it again. It's not like the Nhlanhla report, which is going to go to the president. We have Marikana report. It ended, it evaporated into a thin air. I don't want to talk about Zondo, as I said to you, Minister. You know that you've got your own view. I've got my own view as well. As I said to you, that people who were identified in that report, they point fingers in them. They are still serving in the cabinet. Why are we beating about the bush? They are there. We are serving with them. We are sitting with them, Minister, in the same cabinet. So let's not try to be angels. When we want to get the truth, other witnesses were here, like you, Minister. You know, we want you to respect us as well. Much as we respect you, it must be sacrosanct. Thank you.
Can I check if we still have any other honorable member who wants to speak? Anything that you may want to say, even if it's unrelated to the proceedings, you can raise your hand and speak.
Chair, I don't think that rant was deserving of a response. So
That is why I want to check. That is why I want to check if there is any member who wants to raise a hand and speak.
Chair, please reprimand your members. Your member of the, I'll point him like that. How can he say it was a rant? It's undermining me.
I will keep,
no, Chair, please.
I will keep on reminding you, Honorable Skosana, that you know when you are fouled and you retaliate, you act in common purpose and you forfeit your right to protection. That's what happens. I issue the red card on you. That's what happens. Honorable members, I want you to focus on the task at hand. And I should say it once again that we have adopted the terms of reference. And let me tell you, I may not have, if you look at how calm I am, my energy is calm the way I'm conducting myself from this chair. I will not have that stamina to run around. And that is why in most cases, you know, when I see you behaving the way you do, I just withdraw and look at you. I can't raise my voice and I can't restrain you. I may not have the strength that you have. So I will look at you maybe after 1,000 words, or if you still has the strength up to 1 million words, I'll be looking at you. Because my understanding is that sitting like this as honorable members, the first thing that must come to our consciousness is to respect each other. And we can't sit here and teach one another how to respect the person next to you. I'm not chairing a meeting in the Kruger National Park. I'm not chairing lions and hyenas here. I'm presiding over a meeting of human beings with mental faculties. So let's apply our mental faculties to the task that is at hand here. But you know, if we're going to start a house in a frenetic way, very frenetic and frolicsome, it's not going to help us. Please, let us move out of the Kruger National Park and come to Parliament. Honorable Skhosana.
Yeah, can you please, Chair, in your wisdom, ask Honorable Sangoni to withdraw that, please?
I have said that allow the chair to restrain the member. If you want to do it yourself, you are retaliating and I will give you a red card. Honorable Sangoni, was it fair for you to use the word rant?
Chair, I don't think rant is an unparliamentary word.
I agree with you. Was it fair for you to use it?
Chair, with all due respect, I'm sure if I went and Googled the word rant, it would be that screaming that Honorable Skhosana did. However, if Honorable Skhosana is offended, then I do withdraw it. But it was not unparliamentary.
What I'm looking at is not the technicality of explanations. I'm looking at the wisdom behind the explanation.
Yes, Chair.
That is the nobility of thought. I thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Can we?
Chair, I still not, I'm not getting it. I have asked that she withdraw that, please.
Yeah, she agrees that it was not fair to use the word.
No, I'm saying withdraw, Chair. No, not fair. Withdraw the word.
Honorable,
Because saying I'm screaming, I'm loud by nature anyway. Maybe you'll get used to me.
Help us summon all the wisdom and help us to move forward.
Chairperson, with the guidance that you have given and my self-reflection, I withdraw nobly.
Thank you so much.
Having said that he is ranting.
Thank you so much. I thank you so much for the badge of wisdom. Honorable Shongwe, the 5 minutes allocated to you starts now.
I calculated 7, Chair, but it's fine. Honorable Skhosana started at 16:50.
Yeah, let's allow Honorable Shongwe to exhaust his 5 minutes.
At least we have more work.
What we wear here is a badge of wisdom.
Yeah, it's not a new one. I already asked the question and it wasn't responded to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, I don't have any new follow-up
Okay,
question.
let's allow the question to be responded to. Honorable Matthews has an unanswered question.
It was about the NGOs, yeah.
Any others?
So I served on Nhlanhla for 2 years, I think. That was an NGO dealing with what do you call it?
Oh, it's fine, Acting Minister. You don't have to give us the details, just the names.
Yeah, Nhlanhla, they were dealing with Anyway, okay. And then I served on the board of Corruption Watch, I think for about 2 years. I've served on the Kathrada Foundation, I think for about 2 or 3 years. I'm the chairperson of the Khalima Motlanthe Foundation. That's about it, I think.
Helen Suman Foundation?
No, no.
Okay.
Can I get a signal, Honorable Matthews, are you okay? Honorable Shongwe,
Chair,
5:30, your time is up.
Chair, before you start my time, I think I know ukuthi Honorable Sokhanyisa udlise team maka defendanga, but she wanted to do a follow-up question. Her hand was up and you did note her, Chair. I know udlise team, but akunandaba, Chair. Xolele.
No, Honorable Sokanyile is contented where she is.
I had a follow-up when Honorable Sangone was asking a question to them. Can I do that follow-up?
Yes, you are right.
Thank you. I'm disciplined. Minister, when you reflected on how IDEC conducted the issue of Lieutenant General Kumalo, you said that the way they handled it, wara. Then I want to check, because you even had interaction during your National Inter-Corruption Advisory Council research, which you conducted. Do you think that they behave as if they are a law to themselves, doing as they like? Maybe I can go further to say that when Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi was here, he alleged that they do things as if they are law to themselves. And also Minister Mkhunu agreed to that argument. Then I wanted to check with you.
Thank you, Chairperson, with your permission for the question. I think that is a matter that I can't possibly have a reasonable basis of a reliable factual basis to come to a conclusion on. I have not, I don't know what the nature of the charges are. I don't know what the evidentiary basis of the charges are. And possibly at this point, perhaps the committee doesn't know either. Of course, you've had testimony from others. I assume that this is a matter that you will engage with IDEC when they appear before the committee. But I have said that the arrest of General Kumalo does raise a question which needs to be put to them for clarification, which is, on the face of it, was this a criminal charge that arose from the appointment of a particular person into a particular position? They will have to explain why they came to the conclusion that it was correct for them to charge the general and to arrest him in public for the offence. They need to clarify the matter. I haven't had a briefing from them. I do not even know for sure exactly what the charges are, what the basis of their investigation has been. It is very concerning, but they have to understand that the matter is now of concern to the committee. There will be public concern about this matter, and they should provide an answer. But I don't think I'm in a position to form an opinion that I'm willing to share with the committee at this point on whether what we've seen from IDEC is abuse of power or not. The question arises, but I don't know if I'm in a position to provide an answer at this point.
Sir, the issue of Lieutenant General Khumalo is just an example on their conduct. Don't you see them behaving as if they are law to themselves?
Are there other examples that you have in mind that you want to just bring to my attention so that I can comment? I'm not aware that IDEC has on some routine basis been abusing their powers of investigation and arrest. But if there's a factual basis for that very serious conclusion and allegation, then it should be properly established through this inquiry process. Otherwise, yeah, I certainly do not have that impression.
Thank you so much. Honorable Shongwe.
Thank you. Acting Minister, with what you have observed thus far, do you think the suspended minister should be returned to the position you're acting on?
Thank you for the question. I don't think that it would be correct for me to express a view on that matter. It would be the President's decision, but nothing would give me greater pleasure if in a proper process inquiry the allegations that have been made against Minister Mchunu were resolved, and if he was exonerated, properly exonerated, because and then the question would certainly arise about whether he should be appointed to this position. I fully understand that the President has made an appointment and the President decides on the duration of the appointment in the light of all the considerations that a President takes into account when he or she makes these decisions. So I'm not a minister for life. I'm a minister for as long as the President believes that I should be. And if he changes his mind, I will have no issues.
You are a South African citizen. So let me ask you, as a citizen, the same question. Who would you recommend, with the knowledge you have and how he has tried to disband the PKTT? Who do you think?
I think the Honourable Member should appreciate my difficulty in responding to a question like that. Because in a sense, you can say I'm an interested party, number one.
Let me stop there.
Okay.
It's fine, I understand. Let me leave you. This question again would also require an answer, and it's again in your conscience as well. What do you make of the fact that the President overlooked 2 deputies, one being a female with 31 qualifications, and went to look for you outside the cabinet?
I hope you have a long life in politics and that one day you will achieve your ministerial ambitions, because I haven't yet met a politician who doesn't have such aspirations. Now, I am reasonably sure that when you are appointed, you are not going to ask yourself the question why others were overlooked. So I didn't ask myself that question, but on a serious note, you know, I have said Deputy Minister Matale is a very seasoned ANC leader, as you know, former Premier. He has been in this department for 7 years. Dr. Bashelo is also has a long history. She was a former MEC. She's now an NEC member. They were not appointed into this position. It might well be that the president wanted to appoint someone who's not currently directly involved in the project of in professional politics. I'm not. So perhaps he thought that for this period of time, I don't, you know, I shouldn't be invited to speculate about what was in his head, but maybe he thought that that's what is needed. A politician who's not a politician.
Thank you for that answer. Would you recommend that since General Mkhwanazi's term in the office is ending very soon, I think next year, March, if I'm not wrong, would you recommend that he's returning to the same position, or maybe somewhere in the subs?
I've been thinking a lot about how to use his talents. I think he's clearly formidable, and I hope he stays in the South African Police Service for many years to come. And he should be in positions where he can make a maximum contribution equal to his talents.
Would you recommend the same for General Sibiya?
I don't know much about General Sibiya. The evidence against him so far, particularly in the Nhlanhla Commission, is very concerning. That evidence at this stage is untested. And I have said consistently here that I'm not going to prejudge these matters. I think that would be wrong. In fact, I hope that the public out there also reserve judgment. I noticed that General Sibiya has asked for the opportunity to cross-examine. And in general, I think that the Nhlanhla Commission, you know, what's happened before the Nhlanhla Commission so far is that evidence has been laid. Those witnesses were not cross-examined. I suppose on the basis that the other side, if you like, will be given an opportunity to testify. But the procedure has been a little bit odd from that point of view. So, yes, there is sufficient and compelling evidence already on the public record which raises serious questions about many of the protagonists. But I think it would be wrong to come to conclusions, you know, until the process has been concluded and proper findings have been made.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chopper.
Honourable Chair, Diane will be taking my place.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, reading through your report on your meeting with the National Police Commissioner and Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, I agree with your analysis that there are increased political and whistleblower killings in Gauteng and elsewhere, and this will surely increase in the run-up to November's election. Stepping back and taking a national overview, should you perhaps be considering, or could you consider a political killing task team to be established in each province, as opposed to just KZN? Perhaps renamed to include, as you've said, witnesses and whistleblowers, because that's as much of an issue today as the political killings were. I mean, the assassinations are part and parcel of the process. I've never quite understood why there's just a single unit in a single province, but that may... There are killings in the Western Cape in relation to issues, certainly in Gauteng. It's popping up all over, so it's not isolated anymore just to KZN. So it's a concept I'd like your opinion on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Barnard. Yeah, you're raising, I think, a fundamental question. So I think that that the characterization of the problem as one of political killings arose from the fact that the killings at that stage were concentrated mainly on councillors, and that pattern has continued. But what are we seeing now? We're seeing killings of auditors, both in Ekurhuleni. This was in the Metropolitan Authority. We've seen lawyers and liquidators also murdered recently. Public officials. Babita was in the health department. So we're certainly not dealing with political killings in the same sense that only councillors are being targeted. If you look at the way crime is evolving, organized crime, we have a problem of extortion, corruption mafias, cartels that are carrying out these killings, including killings associated with taxi violence, for instance. So is the challenge that we are now facing, if it's organized crime across the country, but mainly in the four big provinces? It's the Western Cape, Gauteng, the Eastern Cape, and Gauteng. KZN, I got that right? Those four, Eastern Cape. Now, there's no question in my mind that we need a national response to the problem of organized crime. And it might be that the one subset there needs to be focus areas. One set will certainly be perhaps political killings of councillors. It's definitely a risk of increase as we go into the local government elections. But I think we're dealing with cartels now, and these cartels are organized and they are willing to kill. And they are infiltrating different sectors, public transport, taxis, they're infiltrating some departments through procurement systems. There are the construction mafias, there are extortion rackets. You go to the Eastern Cape now, in the last 2 years, it just exponentially increased. So I think we're seeing a pattern here that needs to be addressed as a new and evolving challenge. I certainly don't think that the task teams that have been established should be disestablished while we are coming to an understanding about the challenge that we now face and what structural arrangements that we need to tackle these problems. So I think a lot of your analysis is right, that it's we need a national response, that it's not just councillors across the country, and that we need to tackle these cartels.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. We are in some places referred to as a mafia state because of the organized crime situation. Page 8 of your document, you inform us that you worked closely with General Labia the then head of the DPCI, the Hawks. Are you surprised at the claims that the Hawks interfered with an arrest? Because I watched an interview with General Labia. Of course, he's retired. And he claims that considering the rash of police impersonations in our country, often involving kidnapping, when they heard there were vehicles on the property, he sent a vehicle to check the legitimacy. He said they did so, it was the PKTT, and they left. So the stories differ radically. One, they interfered, one, they did not. The Hawks obviously stand accused of interfering with what was the raid and arrest of Katsiso Molefe in Sandton in December last year. So your thoughts on the claims. How do we judge this issue when you have one person claiming absolutely not and another